lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast that prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello, and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Shaggy One, a.k.a. Russell Jackson, a.k.a. the Demon of Wondergore. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners.
This week, we were lucky enough to talk to Leonardo Nam, who plays Liorn in the Werewolf by Night special, and here's a bit of that interview. All right, well, we're here with Leonardo Nam. Thanks, Leo, for talking with us.
Thanks, mate. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so you've been in a bunch of comic projects over the years, and you've lived in many different places. You grew up in a couple different places when you were a little kid, I think in South America and then in Australia, correct?
Born in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and then grew up, went to Australia, was in Australia for all my schooling, and then New York and now LA.
Awesome. Well, were you into comics as a kid?
I wasn't so much. I was into the not reading them as much, but definitely cartoons and definitely like a lot of my childhood was spent trying to be and pretend to be Superman and things like that, or Spider-Man and that world. But no, I actually never really read a lot of comics as a kid. I for some reason, the circle that I was in, and I knew some other people that did, but I never really kind of got into it. I think it's because I didn't quite understand a lot of the trading part. In Australia, I was my family had immigrated from Argentina and what have you, didn't have a lot of money and what have you. So I feel like a lot of the kids that read comics had to trade, or were in a circle of trading comics and what have you. And I just never kind of really got into that circle and what have you. But yeah, I loved, the cartoons that I could watch of the comics. I was a big fan of that. But yeah.
Cool. So, we've talked with some of the other actors, and I guess which is pretty typical for Marvel Disney, that there was a lot of secrecy surrounding the project, even after they were cast. Was that the same with you? Did you know what the project was?
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I had an idea that that they were going into a different direction, and it was not one of the existing properties that they'd filmed. And I heard rumblings of a werewolf. No one confirmed, and yet no one denied. And once they had talked to me and offered me the part, part of the stipulation of accepting the role is that you knew that you weren't going to get the script until just before. And so I'd go into stunt training first. And after going into stunt training, while I was at stunt training, that's when I heard a lot of the rumblings. Because I was like, for a while, you're like, am I just picturing like a purple blob? I'm fighting a purple blob, or like, and then you have a way of like, charming and twisting their arm and being like, let's just live in you don't have to say anything. You just either have to nod your head and no one can see. So I'm just going to ask questions. And that's how I found out.
Oh, that's great. So you really didn't have time to be like, oh, this is Werewolf by Night. Did you go back? Did you have time to go back and at least check out the character or the comics before filming?
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Once I knew what it was, because there was a code name for the movie, what have you. But once I knew what it was, and it was, kind of a couple of days into the project, into rehearsing. Oh yeah, 100%. Everything I could find, and there was not a lot that I could find.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot.
So, Leo, what was the studio's code name for the project?
It was called Buzzcut.
Oh, that's what. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Michael gave us some of the cast and crew hats.
Oh yeah, Buzzcut. Yeah, exactly. You know, what's random is that after I have kids that are at school, and so I come back after filming the movie, and I'm wearing that hat, and someone across the street yells out, "Buzzcut! I know Buzzcut," and I'm like, "What? What do you mean you know Buzzcut? Who are you?" And then you realize, oh, you're in LA, and you know, tons of people work on this project or what have you. And yeah.
I thought it was some random band or something. It's like it is LA.
Yeah.
It's true. It is LA too. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you're probably able to at least find some of the original run, the 70s run of Werewolf by Night. Those are on Marvel Unlimited and are kind of online.
Yeah, I definitely, I did. And then I kind of, for me, a lot of the inspiration for trying to figure out more the piece and how I work is I wanted to find, you know, as an actor, you have to find things that move you and move you into action as a character. And so a lot of, for me, where that came from, because I didn't have a lot of time with the script or what have you, came from music, because I knew that Mike would come from that world. And so I was able to speak with him about what kind of music, what kind of music this character is listening to, or would be his kind of theme music and that kind of stuff. So that's what helped me.
Oh, that's a really great insight into how you approach that. That's really smart.
Yeah, that is smart.
And I have a question. As far as your character goes, I mean, how much of that was in the script? How many cues did you take from that? And what did you bring to it? Like, we've been talking to a lot of the actors, like, did you make your own backstory for your character to kind of give them a world to inhabit? How did you approach the character, and how much of that was on the page?
Wow, a great question. You know, as someone that usually gets project scripts and stuff, you know, a while before, usually you have a time to build something. But I learned a shortcut after being on Westworld. Westworld was another project where so much was under lock and key, and you just were given these kind of nuggets. And so for me, a lot of the cues I took were not only talking from Michael, to Michael rather, and about music. And I really kind of tried to steep myself in that kind of world and music. And then from the costumes as well, and so I try to pinpoint and find, as an overall, looking at the costume to get a feel for it. You know, I'm a big guy for looking for movement in something. And so if there's something that has movement, that kind of moves me into action. And so I use part of the actual how they put my costume on, and the layers and the kind of the direction of which I felt the costume was designed in, at least in my opinion. And that's kind of how I approached it. And then lastly, I remember we were still kind of trying to figure out the hair and the makeup for it, because, you know, we were trying to fit one of the discussions was, hey, where is this guy coming from? Like, what world, what other universe, or what is his day-to-day like, so to speak? And so I had to find ways of being creative on trying to find ways to ground my character without giving a lot of information, and also on top of that, being given information that, you know, a lot of times for me didn't make sense. You know, I'd be like, "What do you mean this guy's from another universe? Like, what does that mean?" They'll be like, "Well, we didn't say that. We didn't say that. We just meant he's from another place." And I'm like, "What?" And so at the end of the day, what ended up happening for me is, once I saw the script, you know, as a whole, you know, even though you make a suggestion for your hair or your makeup or what have you, it's got to get, you know, approved up the chain. And so one of the choices that I made was I knew that this guy had come from where whatever he was doing in his other day-to-day life. He had to make a quick turnaround and has that that not impulse, but that like fire in him to hunt, right? And so for me, a lot of the costume has a lot of lines in it. Some of the other characters didn't have that, so I noticed that my character had a lot of lines going through it, lots of lines, lots of stitched lines. So I wanted to incorporate that into the hair as well. So even when you're seeing the guy across the room, there is I chose to kind of do a shaved half head. And so the whole concept was, this guy being a hothead, this guy having a line, this guy, once he hears someone crosses that line, or for example, the line has been crossed that Ulysses has died, boom, he goes into action. So that was kind of a lot of the things that I tried to bring into the visuals of the guy, but also, making personal choices within the character. And then also the makeup for me, a lot of that was inspired from kind of taking this war paint idea, and the war paint idea, and again, everything about being lines and having movement. And so that's why in the finished product for me, I was quite happy to have not only the haircut, but also the way in which the lines kind of moved across my face.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that you helped like externalize the character traits like that to just kind of give this shorthand to who this person is immediately visually as well.
Yeah. As an actor, you try and bring as much as you can in the period of time that you have. And I knew we didn't have the script earlier on, and once I learned and read the script, I was like, oh, I die pretty quickly. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew I was gonna die, but and so I thought, okay, how can I make the most impact in the shortest period of time? And as you said, I tried to externalize as much of the nuggets that they'd given me within the script, and then also with the existing things like costume and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Well, you die quickly, but you have the coolest toy.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
don't I?
man.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, how stoked were you to see that when they actually attach it to your arm? That's one of the coolest weapons in the MCU, really.
I thought so too, and it was so funny when I wasn't quite sure. When people describe it to you, and you're in the stunt room, and it's your third day in rehearsals, and you're trying to figure out, are you fighting a blue person, like a blue blob, or what is it? Is it a giant turtle, or what have you? One of the things that they mentioned was, hey, we're in discussions about in this choreography that one of the cut, your arm may be cut off. And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
This was Disney.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what do you mean? And so, I was so thrilled to see the final product because, as you're rehearsing, we're not rehearsing with the actual object. You're rehearsing with cardboard pieces or foam pieces. And so they would move this cardboard cutout around my arm. And at one point we thought it was going to be on my back or what have you. And so I was so thrilled to see the final product.
Yeah, it's so cool. So when we talked with Michael and with some of the other actors, one of the more interesting things, it seemed like, so Michael mentioned that on day one of filming, that he kind of had the crew go to lunch and had the cast sit in a circle and talk about their earliest memory of being terrified, which is so cool. So, I mean, if you don't mind, what was yours?
So I love Michael, mate. Anyone that does something like that, is giving so much care into a project, and I absorbed that. And we sat in the circle in the rotunda, and my earliest memory of being absolutely horrified and scared, it came in twofold. The first was Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember so clearly. The body being dragged in one of the dream sequences, the body being dragged outside in the hallway and everyone sitting in the classroom. And I just I could not go to sleep after that. That was like the worst, craziest thought. That and then The Exorcist. I
Oh
just
yeah.
oh like those two combos. I was like, I'm changed forever.
Yeah, and so you think that had the intended effect? Like did that bond you kind of immediately with the other cast members?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like not only the hearing what they said, that scared them or what have you, but also just kind of getting to know them in this very stripped down state is very powerful as an actor or in any form, because you get to see glimpses of the person, of the soul, the human, and behind the nerves of the first day. And so that same glimpse you're able to then see in the work when you're filming with them. And there is it's a gift because you're able to or not immediate, but like there is an easier connect to the humanity, no matter how crazy the scene is or how much special effects, what have you. And luckily for us, there was a lot of practicals. So we didn't have to imagine a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it was just wonderful.
Yeah, so you felt that it was did you have an easier time staying in that world, realizing that Michael was going to rely mostly on practical effects? Like you weren't behind a green screen, acting to a tennis ball. That had to have been pretty great.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that we did all of it practically. There was one moment where we used a green screen, and it was not for the movie. It was for the EPK, the electronic press kit that they do as like a behind the scenes thing. And I remember I stood in front of this green screen. It was so weird to be standing there as my character. You feel so over the top. You feel so, it was just a strange experience and in actual filming, it was all done practically, which is so wonderful.
Yeah, and it seems like people have really responded to that, like recognizing that this is such a different style of project for Marvel, and it's also been released to pretty universal acclaim, which is pretty great. How have you responded to that?
Oh, wonderfully! Like so Laura Donnelly and I were messaging, and as the reviews kind of started to come through, she says to me, "Well, that went down well, didn't it?" I love her.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to think about it. Understatement indeed.
Yeah, so speaking of Laura, you had such a great, like, gruesome fight with her, and also such a great kind of intimate death scene. How was that to shoot?
Oh, wonderful. She's a dream, man. Not only is she so fierce and intense in her work as an actor, and I'd known her work previously. I'm just a massive fan of hers. But also in the scenes itself, like, she loves to train for stunts, which was really surprising for me. So she was like so super into it and flexible and what have you. And then in between takes, like we're like giggling and laughing, and then jumping right back into it. I love that being able to do that. That's like a private joy of mine when you are able to like hop in to the scene and then hop out and giggle with the actor. Not everyone is like that, and so it's a really special thing when you're able to do that.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of that on the set. When we were talking with Eugenie, she said that when you guys were filming the outside scene, when you were chanting and she's from a much warmer climate, so she was saying that she was so freezing, and that in between takes that Kirk would start singing soul songs and different things like that, which sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, those big group scenes, can be a nightmare, logistically speaking, because they're so long. And when you have several people in one scene like that, you have to break it down, and a lot of the times you for a pivotal scene like that, you almost in a way don't know where the camera is, right? Because they've got several going and what have you, we were shooting at night and it was bloody freezing. But I just, it's also part of the bonding process, really. And it was super fun. Like, we would make up these different. This was kind of towards the end of filming, so everyone had gotten to know each other quite well, and you start to make up words for the chant. Like, what was, I can't remember now, but like, you can imagine. It's like 4 a.m., everyone's like gone. Yeah, everyone's punchy, everyone's gone loony, no one knows what's going on. We've said this like 1,000 times. You're like, what are we doing? And then we would start to make up these different words for the chants and stuff. It was really funny. It was just a lovely time.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm sure the flaming tuba helped with making it so surreal that night shoot.
Yeah, and he's a great guy too. So, one of the gems of working on this project was I know that Michael, not only is he prolific in the music world, but like obviously over the years has collected a group of friends that have rather diverse talents. And in that diverse talents, they're like, fantastic in their own right, but they have some awesome Hollywood stories. And so that was another like wonderful moment of mine, like, just hearing the stories that they had about like, what they did on this project or that project and blah, 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 how they met Michael and stuff. It was super fun.
Yeah, Jacob and I were fortunate enough to get to, after the screening, go back to Michael's for a little after party and hang out with Kirk and David Silverman. And it was very surreal getting to hear all these great stories from these people that we made these things we have loved and grown up admiring.
Oh, great. Exactly. Right. You get it, man. Like, yeah. It was like such a gem for me, like being able to hang with these people because, they're not in their usual seat, so to speak. They're not, the X, Y, and Z that's doing this, but they're just there kind of to support Michael and kind of doing a role or a cameo or something like that as a favor, but more like for the joy of it. And so they're in that spirit. And so I was able to meet them in that spirit and have a couple bourbons and, then the rest is history.
Yeah, I'm trying to find someone that has a crossword to say about Michael. We haven't found one yet.
Nope.
No, are you kidding me? He's so lovely. He's so fantastic. I mean, and he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
So you don't have any dirt? No tea to spill?
Well, there was this. No, are you kidding me? No, he was so great. Like you mentioned from the beginning where he had everyone sit down and do that. I mean, you have someone that has that much care and that much, soul for a project and talks about like how this is the film that, the little 10-year-old him wanted to film. And I mean, how does that not just like crack open your heart and want to do the best that you can and also strangely be really proud for someone that you just kind of gotten to know. And I just was like, wow, I kept saying you should be so proud of yourself. And I mean, because I'm proud of you and I just met you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the making of special Director by Night really conveyed that so well. Like it was so emotional and was all about family and about his dreams of being a filmmaker I think everyone got to share in that a little bit by watching Anthony's documentary.
Yeah, right. Isn't that wonderful? And like it was such a wonderful experience to in between filming, also having Anthony there, like being able to kind of like fact check. No. Being like, so Michael said this. Was he really like that? No, it was just so wonderful to be around that. And, I personally have a lot of love for someone that has a brother or a family member or a mate that's with them that also shares in that spirit. He also is a wonderful person. And, that's when you're like, okay, well, we're in good hands, man. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful.
Well, yeah, it's been great talking with you. Congrats so much on your performance. It was wonderful, and being a part of this great project.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, what a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
All right, that was so awesome to talk to Leo.
Indeed. We are doing a fun little experiment right now. Not experiment, but we're changing our format up because we're doing some shorter form chapterized stuff with Marvel Comics Presents. Jacob, what is your experience with this title?
I don't really have any experience with this title, honestly. I read some of it when I got Marvel Unlimited, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't quite out of comics in 1990. I was darn close, and I was mostly done with the big two around that time. But yeah, I'm really not all that familiar with this title at all.
So I had to do a little bit of research because I didn't read it much either. I did remember that they had a cool thing they instituted later where it was a flip book. So the first two stories were in one direction. And then if you flip the book over, there was a second cover featuring the back half of the characters. And so you could flip it and put it on the shelf either way, which I always thought was cool. But yeah, this started in 90 and it ran for like 175 issues.
Yeah.
And it was bi-weekly. There have been 3 volumes of it. I guess there currently is one right now. This 3rd volume is running right now. But the original idea was to have an X-Men character as the A character in a series of shorts. So they always had the plan of having 4 stories in every issue, an X-Men in the first story, and some lesser-known characters in one-shots, and then a couple other medium-ranked characters in kind of 4 to 6 part stories. And it ended up shaking out that basically the Hulk and Wolverine, mostly Wolverine, were the lead characters, right?
I think so, yeah, for the most part.
Ghost Rider took over a bit in the early 90s, took the title away from Wolverine for a while, but I think Wolverine had the most. So I think he told me that Marvel Unlimited doesn't feature anyone but the Hulk and Wolverine A stories, right? Like
That's right. Yeah, you go on and it's just the first 8-page story pretty much on most every issue. So that was a disappointment because I'm most interested in all the other B stuff. There's really cool shit in there.
I know. I was flipping through there and I saw Steve Ditko drawing the Shroud. I mean, yeah. There's just so much neat stuff. Stingray, like that's a character I've always thought was interesting. He had like an 8-part story in there. Yeah, lots of different creators and artists got to do stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer that the Hulk and Wolverine stuff got the digital treatment.
Definitely.
So the stories that we are going to read, we're reading Children of the Beast, which is a 6-part story. In this episode, we're covering the first 3 chapters, which is Marvel Comics Presents 54, 55, and 56, I believe. And these were bi-weekly, which is kind of cool also. I like the idea of that frequent publishing cadence. So the first 2 stories came out in July of 1990, and the 3rd chapter came out in the first half of August of 90. And I had never read these. I had bought these. I kind of have just a negative association with them because I'm a binder, and I always kind of throw up my hands when I get to these and like, do I pull out the pages that aren't associated with Werewolf by Night and keep the cover in there? Do I put the whole thing in there, even though 3/4 of it is not about Werewolf by Night? And I just kind of chase my tail, and then I get sleepy and take a nap. Yeah. And then I still haven't bound the next volume of Werewolf by Night because I don't know what to do with them. So this is my first time reading these.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Cool. Well, let's get started then.
So for all 3 of these issues, actually for all 6 parts of this story, the creative team is exactly the same. Fortunately, it would have been really weird if it would have jumped around.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice that we have some kind of creator consistency. So yeah, our cast of creators are writer Len Kaminski, penciler Jim Fry, inker Brad Joyce, and letterer also Brad Joyce, and colorist is Gregory Wright. So I don't know about you, Matt. I wasn't really familiar with any of these people.
I'd never heard of them.
And yeah, so let's talk about Len Kaminski a little bit. He wrote for Marvel from around 1986 to almost to around 2000. His first credit was Spectacular Spider-Man 114. He went on to write for other books like Web of Spider-Man, Iron Man, War Machine. But, most of his credits are in that super lava period of 1993 to 2000, which I know nothing about. So there's not a ton of info about this guy online, but the Marvel Wiki says that he contributed to the Marvel Comics version of the Cthulhu mythos by introducing like new gods and eldritch entities such as the bodiless ones. And it says on the wiki, it says most of them later confirmed to be great old ones or lesser old ones. And they all have appropriately Lovecraftish names. And I'm not familiar with that, any of this really at all. The Gothic Cyclopeans, the Trinity of Ashes, and the Innsmouth Hills Sanitarium.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you know what those were introduced in?
No, not really. He has a lot of credits. Like I was not, and like you said, we are willfully ignorant of this period.
Yeah.
And and he didn't really do a ton after 2000. It was a thing that I noticed about most of these guys is that, their heyday was in the 90s and they kind of didn't do too much after that. James Toon Guy Fry, as he is known to his friends, worked for Marvel and DC in the late 80s. At Marvel, he handled art on The Avengers, Marvel Comics Presents. He did a lot of the art for Mark Spector Moon Knight.
Okay.
And Nomad. And over at DC, he worked a lot on the Star Trek series that was like new adventures with the classic cast. And it was written by Peter David. So I'm kind of interested in that, actually, a little bit.
I've heard love for that. I've never read it.
I haven't either, but
like it.
I've heard that too. So yeah, I'm curious. Again, kind of hard to find a ton of biographical info on this guy, but he seems to have moved into film gigs by the 2000s. None of these fellas really have too much of a social media presence or too much online. So yeah, they're a bit of a mystery. Brad K. Joyce, who is the inker and letterer of these issues, same. He seems to have split his career at Marvel inking and lettering, doing basically like half and half almost his GCD reads. Not a very usual career path, but pretty cool.
Yeah.
And again, he has a lot of credits in the late 80s and all through the 90s. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It just makes me wonder, like stylistically, like I'll just come out and say, I mean, I liked these issues. There's, I think, a lot to like about these things, but stylistically and writing wise, they are very entrenched in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that doesn't necessarily translate much past that decade. I don't know. Is that too harsh?
I'm not sure. You're speculating why they dropped off after 2000. Is that what you mean? Like
a little bit, yeah.
Stylistic, yeah. Yeah, I can see them like going into film, like pre-production work or whatever on films with this kind of style, and it definitely probably became a case of kind of what's the expression about, the more you know something, the more contempt you have for it. I think people were kind of done with whatever that 90s look was. That was kind of a collective, unofficial vibe. And then we turned away from that as the millennium turned, and it just felt old fashioned at that point. So they probably weren't getting a ton of gigs.
That's what I'm curious about. I mean, Jim Fry went on to do really great work in film. So, I mean, he wasn't hurting for work or anything. But yeah, it just seems like, the 90s comics had a real vibe, and that vibe didn't really, I mean, I think there's nostalgia for it. Like right now in like this year, stuff is starting to, there's an X-Men 94 title now. There's like and so there's a lot of nostalgia for that, which I I understand. I don't feel that same nostalgia, but I can definitely understand it.
Yeah. I feel like that officially started for me, at least on my radar, when Haunt came out. That was like Capullo or something, but I can't remember who wrote it, but it's a very 90s, like extreme kind of,
Yep.
you know, it felt like he was basically a symbiote. Yeah. So I feel like we've been in that nostalgia hole ever since then, whatever that was, 2015.
Yeah, for sure. So, but let's jump in. So, we're going to be talking first about Marvel Comics Presents 54. And like you said, the overall title of this story is Children of the Beast. We're going to be talking now about Chapter 1, which is called The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And that is a metaphor that he really, really runs into the ground in this first one. So, the opening page consists of like a jagged, almost horizontal panel layout of like a naked Jack Russell being chased by a ghost cat, and it's cool. Like I like the layout of this opening page. I think it's really cool. Jack looks weird. He is naked. It's colored all. I mean, this is a dream. This is a nightmare, which we'll find out from the opening narration. So all the colors are blacks and purples and kind of pinkish, and which I think is pretty effective. But I'm just going to read the opening narration because it kind of gives sets a tone for the tone of the writing in the issue. It reads, "Okay, here's the story. It all started, I guess, with the nightmare. In it, I'm running naked through a strange wild forest of shadows. I'm lost, terrified, alone, and something's behind me. Silvered lightning flashes toward my throat, and this ghost cat that's running at it and says, 'Die, monster, die!' And Jack screams. It goes on to read, and then it's gone, shattered by an explosion of crisp black wings that flap and rustle with a sound like the applause of the dead. Well, you get the idea." You know, there's a bit of a cheesy tone to a lot of the narration. I'll just get right out and say it. For most of this, I got used to it and kind of, fell in with it and was okay, but it was a little jarring at first for me.
Yeah, and I feel like there's this point where somewhere between 1980 and 1990, people got in their head that Jack's kind of a dork. Is this just me? Like, not like Ted Kord, like Booster Gold kind of like goof, but like, I don't, his narration and stuff, they get kind of corny. Like he's not aware that he's a corn dog. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it just feels like it was this shift of degrees to where then you look up 10 years later and you're like, oh, now he's just a dork. Like, yeah,
he's much, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we are used to and have the most fondness for the 70s first person narration. And it was, I felt like the 70s first person narration was like a perfect balance of him being a stupid kid, yet also having this like noir type narration about this horrible thing that's happening to him. And yeah, you're right. There's been a shift of degrees during the 80s to where now he's very, just kind of mocks himself all the time and comes off very awkward and stilted. And Jack Russell was a lot of things in the 70s and early 80s, but I don't know. He wasn't this. So you're right. You're absolutely right. There has been a tonal shift.
Yeah. I do like you said, this kind of expressionistic approach to these panels that almost look like pads on a paw or slash marks or something. Like they're jagged lines, they're triangular, so they fit together like a pie. But it's all very black and jagged at the same time. Like you said, the monochromatic kind of a color scheme to denote a dream. And yes, the language is pretty purple. I agree, but I like some of the stuff, like the onomatopoeia stuff in here is really good, I thought, and like just like the way I could hear a murder of crows taking flight, like when that description, like it was very evocative.
Yeah.
One thing I need to mention is there is a lot, as a B-movie fan, there is a lot of references to B-movies in here. The first one is on page 1, Die Monster Die, which is a 1965, I think, adaptation of The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. It stars Boris Karloff. I'm a fan of that movie. And
It's a great movie.
Once I noticed that, I started noticing that throughout this entire thing. There's tons of little in-jokes.
There's a lot of references in this issue. It's reference heavy, which I am torn on.
Yeah. The next page continues the strange panel design, where these ones are 3 vertical panels, but they're all irregular. They look like coffins that are leaned up against each other or like stacked like crates. And this is just an EC homage. It's purple sky and background. This first panel is so cool, by the way, when we see the figure that has appeared with this murder of crows, and it's in silhouette. It looks like the Slender Man or something like that, with a bunch of crows behind him, just like wings coming out from behind him. And then it lurches into the moonlight. Silver and green moonlight highlights all over him, and it's his father saying, "Son," and Jack screams, "Gah!" And he's naked. So he comes in and says, "How come you never call?" As a crow's like on his head, like going like pecking at him, and there's worms crawling out of his eyes. And Jack just says, And then this pack of dogs come saying, "Ruff, get him! The beast must die!" Rah, 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 rah. So the beast must die. That's a movie we talked about on here. And Jack says, "Oh yeah, that's when the rabid dogs showed up." I mean, everybody knows you can't have a decent nightmare without rabid dogs. And this panel at the bottom I thought was actually nice, as these kind of dodgy looking dogs are darting towards them with foam coming out of their mouth. You see his feet in the foreground. I love that worm's eye view of him running away. This page I liked a lot.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You're right. The layout, the design of it was supposed to be his dad is very EC. Like that almost could be like a Ghastly type design. Like it was it's really cool. There are lots of really cool things about these stories. There's going to be some criticisms coming from me, but also there's a lot of really cool. I was actually kind of shocked at how much I liked a lot of the things in this. I was not expecting it. I'm
the same.
Yeah. So, okay, but now we're also getting into reference bingo on this next first panel that just kind of, I groaned. I actually did groan. Too. So, the next panel, these wolves are bearing down on Jack's dad, and they start quoting the Todd Browning film Freaks and the Ramones for some reason. One of them says, "We accept Gooba Gabba, one of us." And then the other wolf goes, "Gabba Gabba, hey." I was like, okay, I know it's supposed to be funny. It's not. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, the way I kind of justified that to myself was like, he's in a dream, so his subconscious is free associating and just kind of having a jazz solo of badness, of bizarreness. Yeah, I know. I groaned as well, but I was like, okay, it's a dream.
It's
Can't
a dream.
Judge dreams.
No, I know. So Jack thinks to himself, he's like, "That's when it appeared. I felt its chill shadow fall over me and looked up. Mistake. That's when I knew, that's it. I'm finished. I'm Fritos, you know." Has any human being ever said that?
I am now. As of like today, I'm saying it all the time.
Yeah. So after like a hard day at work, or you've had something, you're going to go downstairs to Renee and just be like, "Honey, I'm Fritos."
Yeah. Pop down the couch.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's what human beings say now. So that's cool. So, but the rest of the panels, and we're still in a really non-traditional panel layout here. And the rest of the art on this page is really, really cool, because Jack kind of turns around and sees this terrifying like wolf spirit, like a giant. He's kaiju sized, and he is just chomps down on Jack, gets him in his jaws and chomps down. There's a bunch of blood, and it says "choop." And this whole time he's the wolf is saying, "That's right, pal. Be afraid. Be very afraid."
Cronenberg's The Fly.
Lot of references on one page.
This is all coming from Jack, though. This is not whole cloth.
No, you're right. You're right.
Okay, I'll stop defending it. Yeah. So that whole dream sequence is very Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And I do like, the way the panels, again, were just kind of like Basquiat charcoal lines or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So the next page, he awakes screaming. and he realizes he's in what he calls the howling room, and it's a pit with cement walls, and above him there's a like rebar grate, and that's where he locks himself in on the 3 nights of the month when he needs to be restrained. And so then we get a little intro here. My name's Russell. I carry a curse. You and I all know this stuff. We don't need to go over this. But he says, he has a little bit of insurance as well, because sometimes, and you see on the walls of this thing, in the lambent walls, there's just scratch marks all over. So the wolf has been in there a lot, and he's been pissed a lot. But Jack says, I have this insurance, and he pulls out this bottle, a prescription bottle. It says Remy Pharmacy. Russell J. Take as directed, Dr. M. Morbius. So we get a throwback. He's still his doctor, which we found out quite a while ago. And I looked up Remy Werewolf because I was like, this has to be something. Do you know what this is? Did you see it? Okay, so it's in the Fox TV series Werewolf, when he has down Janos Scorsese, yeah. Chuck Connors' character.
Yeah.
We find out towards the end of that season, the only season, that he was not actually the star of the Bloodline. There was another one that was named Nicholas Remy. That was the one
cool.
That Eric had to actually hunt down.
And the Werewolf TV series is only just like 3 years old at this point, right? Like,
yeah,
I think it came out in 87. Yeah, 87, 88. So yeah, okay. Timely.
Yeah. So Jack takes a couple of those pills. And then he looks at some deep claw scratch marks in the cement and says it wasn't a pretty sight. And in the bottom row, we have this triptych of vertical panels, which I absolutely love, where he's recapping for people that are new to him what he's been doing essentially in season 3, which is, I joined the night shift. There's a bunch of these goofs, blah, blah, blah. But there's this person in there, Danson Macabre, who can control my beast form. So that's, why I was hanging out with these morons. And, even though there's very little mind for her to control. And then he says, but I guess I built up a kind of tolerance. And this is all new stuff for us, because we were wondering in the Hulk episode, like, why is he in the desert? What happened to Danson Macabre? So we find out he built up a tolerance to it. And so her control is not working on him anymore. So he's falling back on old stuff. But while this is happening, in the narration boxes, you have him just kind of in the foreground thinking, but in the background, there's a purple, essentially like a fresco, illustrating all the things he's talking about with the darker purple as like the shading. And it is really effective, like the soft kind of like watercolory. It's beautiful. It's
very cool. One of my favorite things of the issue, honestly.
Me too.
Yeah, I love that. No, this is a great page. So yeah, on this next page, so we have a bit of a back and forth dialogue between Jack and his werewolf self, and this is happening in his mind. We see kind of the beast's eye, and the narration from the beast is, the light is coming to free me from the man. Hate the man is bad, the man makes me be dark. And especially down there on the bottom left panel, there is, honestly, like in a lot of this issue and in this page, we're kind of veering into Sienkiewicz territory. But again, like it's like people trying to copy the Beatles. Like, for some reason, I'm just like, okay, if Sienkiewicz is the Beatles, like Fry and Joyce are Peter and Gordon.
Yeah. I like Peter and Gordon, though.
I love Peter and Gordon. I am not shitting on them, but okay. I'm just saying that, it's someone trying to do something, and it's great, but it's not the master.
No, I yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so yeah, this whole page and a lot of the art in this, I feel like. And especially later on, when we get a full transformation and see Jack in his werewolf form, it's very modeled on Sienkiewicz's design from the 2 Moon Knight issues.
Yeah, but a great place to go for inspiration.
Absolutely, no, it's a great place to go. And so, yeah, they're still kind of having this dialogue, and the wolf at the bottom is saying, "Why does the man keep me locked in the dark? Why?" And there's also a little countdown that's happening on this page. Jack is looking at his watch. He's counting down from a minute and is realizing that the change is coming. And so he says, I was revolted by the way my body responded so eagerly. I told myself I didn't enjoy this. I didn't, did I?
Yeah. So I just thought this was cool. Like you were saying, I mean, some of this is abstract, more conceptual, stuff, but I just thought it was neat to see the beast as a separate entity within him, having a voice and having its own life. Like, even if its life is 28/30ths being trapped inside of a, in a dark pit. It was just neat that it had its own volition and desire.
Definitely.
This next page is something that if people are buying me original art, I would like to request this one. I love this one a lot. We have a series of panels at the top, 3 of them, and we've bemoaned that we haven't had any good Plug transformations where it looks like someone's being turned inside out or whatever for a long time. Perwin kind of shied away from some of that stuff, being kind of an old school guy, I think. And we get a real nice one here. The first panel is Jack's hand going up and large nails shooting out of it with a manacle. And then fur starts popping out of his chest. And the third panel, we get his eyes are red and his teeth are getting really like Fright Night like level of like scraggly, like all over the place, like alien teeth. And it says, my muscles spasm violently as my mind was drowned in a thick haze of animal passion. So he's just writhing around as this painful transformation happens. And the bottom half of the page is him exploding into the full werewolf form, very Sienkiewicz, like he said, roaring, a big roar in yellow behind him. And his clothes are exploding off of his body. And then he says, okay, this is dorky, so I have to say it. It says, wildfire red thoughts flash through my mind, burning away all reason, all control, leaving only the primal ravenous beast within. And then the werewolf explodes out and roars. And then Jack's narration says, I hate it when that happens. Is that a reference to that Christopher Guest and that SNL thing? Remember there was like 2 security guards and they'd do the upping level of like, I hate it when that happens. We get a meat thermometer and you just jam it in your ear and you're just hitting. Maybe what the hell he's talking about.
I don't know. I just thought it was a corny line. I groaned there too. I groaned honestly. The art in this is pretty solid. I have my, it's not maybe to my taste all of the time, but the art is really solid. The writing is spotty. Yeah, it's good, but then it makes me groan, and so that's my problem with it.
Yeah, I actually like the story, but some of this writing is really dodgy. Yeah. In that first panel, it says, I shuddered as my pale lover's ghostly caresses brought my trembling body to its dark climax of transformation.
Well, we haven't been reading it because it's terrible. But in a lot of this narration, he's been really going for the dark is a cruel mistress, like the night and the moon is his mistress. And so he's just been really going to that well a lot. And it's pretty corny. But
it is a good transformation.
It's a great transformation.
At the bottom right, they just tucked in a little extreme close-up of the wolf's eyes leering. And that's very effective. And we get a nice little growl from him going, Rrr. And then it says, first night. The werewolf opened his eyes for the first time in a month. He didn't like what he saw.
I don't care that last line was a little corny. We got first night. That makes me happy. Anytime we get first night, I'm going to be very pleased with that.
Yeah, beautiful transformation and first night.
Yeah. No, claw up for me too. So the next page shows the werewolf struggling to free itself, and this is kind of brutal twist. He even starts to chew his own arm off, which I was like, oh fuck, that escalated.
Yeah.
The narration says, talking about the werewolf, his response was that of any trapped animal, escape at any cost. That's when he started gnawing his own arm off. And it says, but before he could finish, a 900 milligram Thorazine sledgehammer hit him right between the eyes. And then for both of us, it was back to Nightmare City. And so we realized that, he had taken, it's the pill he took, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the pill that he took has kicked in. And so obviously it was just like a fucking horse tranquilizer, an elephant tranquilizer or something.
Yeah. I'm sure he went to Michael Morbius and said,
Yeah.
I've gotten out a couple times, even when I
Yeah.
lock myself up. Can I have something?
Can I have something? Yeah, and this is and yeah, the panel layout on this is much more traditional than we've seen on the other pages, but the art is still really good. It's all, aside from the first three panels, which are is the werewolf trying to free himself, the rest are real close-ups, and it's almost and yeah, it's interesting and kind of cool. And I did really dig the panel where the Thorazine has kicked in, and then he just sees like kind of fuzzy lights.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting on this page. There's a complete shift on the very bottom panel, and we get a different narrator, and it starts off with saying excerpted from The Tribulations Are Now by Isaiah Kerwin, Purification Press, 1988. And so yeah, now we're in a completely different tone here.
I just realized that that's not associated at all with the Doctor Strange J. Jonah Jameson publication Now magazine.
Nope. This is his. This is. I mean, as we'll find out, Isaiah Kerwin is kind of a religious zealot psycho, and I did like that. Purification Press. I really wanted that to be like what he wrote on the Kinko's version of his book. Like, this is self-published. This is just self-published nonsense. And so we get one excerpt from it. It reads, "It was the 4th year of my holy war that I came to the decadent city of Los Angeles in search of the beast." And in all the and so we see, this kind of, I don't know, it looks like a street view, but we see all these signs that say like all night, music, go, girls, girls. And then one that says Mondo Video, which was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yes. And this is, like he says, Isaiah Kerwin. I was like, I know Kerwin is something. What is this again? I looked up. Okay. He was a judge at the Salem witch trials. That's right. Mm-hmm. So that's important.
It is
probably a descendant of Jonathan Kerwin. So on the next page, we get this Isaiah Kerwin's little journey. So he is in the Sodom of the Pacific, and he's walking down some street of just porn shops and, whatever head shops and punks and bikers and whatever hippies standing around. And he's horrified. And then he says, everywhere I found sin, and death. And then we see him surveying the scene. He's in a cloak. He's bald. And he's looking around. There's just piles of dead bodies like in an alleyway. And blood spattered everywhere. And he says, I don't know, he's just saying, the enemies are legion, blah, 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 just Bible-y shit. And then he looks at a blood spatter on the wall, and there are claw marks raking across it into the cement. And he says, "Oh, Lord, the mark of the beast." And then this bottom row here is pretty choice as far as like a little character reveal here. There's a guy who's like been mauled and gored, and he's still kind of barely alive. Like, it hurts. And then this guy kneels down to check on him and get closer to him. He's like, "Please, mister, help me." And this guy says, "This I swear." And then he goes internally, "I could not help but take mercy on this poor wretch. I did as he begged." And we get the sense that he just killed him. The guy goes, and he says, "I freed him from his tainted flesh." And then we see a glint of silver on a blade. "I had found proof that my mission was just the mission that I alone could see, that the monster named Jack Russell had to die." And then we see just his silhouette in front of all these neon signs of porn shops, and it says, "Amen."
Amen.
Continues next issue. So that's a great character reveal there. "Help me, mister." And he sticks a silver dagger into his heart.
Yeah. No, and I mean, the character of Isaiah Kerwin is really brutal and frightening because he's a fucking psychotic zealot, like just religious zealot. And there's no one more frightening than that.
Yeah. And as the first time I read this, I was like, so this is what the Hangman should have been if it was less dorky, but they couldn't do that in like 74 or whatever. But that guy, when he's killing that guy and it's like close up of the man's face, and he has just like holes in his face, like where the beast just like stuck claws through it. That was horrifying.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Like that looks like indie comics with an X, like 80, like the thing where it'd be behind the counter, like those kind of violent sci-fi weird comics. So the takeaway here is that this guy believes he's looking for Jack Russell, and he believes that this is the work of Jack Russell, the werewolf. So, do we want to save our thoughts for the end or do them as we go through?
Oh, I think we should probably just save our thoughts
Okay.
total at the end, I would think, right?
Cool. Yeah. That was what I was going to vote for.
Yeah. Okay, so now we are in issue 55, which is Children of the Beast Part 2, The Gathering Storm. And so the opening page is 4 horizontal panels showing Jack painting on the floor using blood red paint and lighting a candle. And I actually kind of liked this page a lot. Like, this was something that I was just like, oh, okay.
Super tight close-ups on an activity like that that's force you into intimate, like you're so intimate that you can't even see what's in front of your face, but you kind of know what's going on. Yeah, I thought it was super effective.
Oh, it's great. It's a great fucking page. So I'm just going to read the opening intro because I did like it. It says, all right, this is where the story gets a little complicated. Just stick with me and it'll all make sense eventually. Honest. In the mountains outside, the night skies were filled with ominous black clouds, gathering themselves above, forming strange patterns. Meanwhile, inside, I was getting my act together to make one last desperate attempt to free myself of the monster within me. There was a howling in the wind outside, and I was running out of time. So I actually thought that was some pretty awesome opening narration.
I totally agree.
Yeah, no groans, no goofy shit. Still, a little silly, but perfect amount. And I love that bottom panel. So yeah, it's just these tight close-ups of Jack lighting a candle, dipping a brush into some red paint, and then on the bottom you just get this tight close-up of his face, really just his eyes and part of his nose and brow. And in his eyes, you see, just the eyes of a wolf and the teeth. I don't know. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, like inside of his pupils. So it's like, the eyes are a window to the soul, right? So, I mean, This is like he's running out of time. The beast is trying to get out already, and you can see evidence of it displayed metaphorically through his eyes. And I forgot to say on the last issue, we should start a band called The Tribulations, and our first album will be The Tribulations Are Now. What do you think?
I'm in.
And it's got to be 60s mod style, right? Like big beat.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally in.
Okay, cool. All right, so back to silly references. On the top of the page, we see Jack's hand still painting. It says, I've decided that it was time to get serious and do something about my werewolf problem. And I love this storyline, this chapter, his approach here. This is really cool, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We cut into a occult bookstore, and he says, first, I had to do a little shopping. And we see a typical occult bookstore, everything you think you would see. There's a 666, which is a callback to the cult. What were they called? Children of the Dawn or the Morning Star?
Yes, Morning Star.
That same logo that Sienkiewicz developed for them is on the desk at this shop. Constantine is there with Alan Moore walking through, and Constantine's saying, "Blimey!" And Alan Moore's walking in front of him with sunglasses on. I was like, Jesus Christ, guys. Jack comes in the front door, and the little bell rings, ching, and the door says Zontar, right? Because Zontar, the thing from Venus, was a shitty sci-fi movie. He comes up and he says, "Hey, I'm Russell. I contacted you several weeks ago about," because like, whoa, not out here, man. Let's go in the back room. So you go in the back, and this guy's name tag says, "Hello, my name is Xandor." And I don't know if you've ever seen the Al Adamson movie, Dracula versus Frankenstein. It's a really good, bad movie. But the actor who played Dracula, who looks like a nebbish, like Brooklyn Jewish kid with a goatee and like fro, his name is Zen. He credited himself as Xandor Vorkov. I don't know what his real name was, but so we got that. And then Jack reaches in his pocket and pulls out a little baggie full of some hair. And the guy's like, "Whoa, it seems quite genuine." And he gives Jack a scroll, says, "It's a deal." And then he says, "Mr. Russell," as Jack's leaving. "Yeah, I'm almost afraid to ask, where did you get your end of the bargain?" And Jack just shoots a really dorky looking sly look at him and says, "Don't ask."
Yeah, this page was silly. It was the Alan Moore and Constantine thing that kind of that's some goofy shit. That's some cringy shit.
Yeah, and when Jack's approaching the Xandor, there's a woman in the foreground watching this thing go down, which, if you're just listening along, is important. It's a little wink that these people are important.
Yeah.
That are in the shop.
Yeah, so on the next page, we're back at Jack's pad where we now see that he was painting a pentagram on the floor with lots of cool, creepy symbols, more candles. And the narration tells us that Jack traded his fur for a copy of Le Marchand's Morning Call, a powerful necromantic spell that could cure his curse. So yeah, the bottom narration, which I thought was a little more important, read, I studied for months to find the right one and to be sure what I was doing when I got a hold of it. I learned a lot, and yet I couldn't escape the creeping feeling that there were a lot of things that I didn't know. So we know he's planning something, and we're going to find out. And it is pretty cool what he's planning. But yeah, I actually liked this page as well, especially my favorite panel. One of my favorite panels of this issue is the second one, which I think is so cool. It's almost like a woodcut in a way.
Totally.
Like it's so cool, and the colors are really neat on it. It's you know, Jack is illuminated by candles, and so his body and his hand is the same color as the flames, very yellow with some reds in the background. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. I dug this page.
It almost looks like a Bissett or like a there's somebody associated with Swamp Thing. I can't think who I'm trying to think of, but
Like Veitch. Yeah, Veitch.
Yeah, more Veitch, I guess, than Bissett.
Yeah, it's definitely more Veitch.
Yeah, so I thought this was cool. First of all, I don't think I'm jumping to conclusions here. The scroll he got was Le Marchand's Morning Call, morning with a U. Yep. And this is, I think, a reference to Hellraiser, which came out in 1987. What is that? The puzzle box is called like Marchand's Lament, or the Lament configuration, but it's like Le Marchand's Lament configuration.
Okay,
so
I didn't
morning,
catch that.
lament.
Yeah,
you know, they're kind of doing a lot of little nods here like that.
Too many nods.
Yeah. But I thought this was, you know, have we ever seen Jack be this proactive about since he went to Transylvania? I mean, he's gone to Michael Morbius, he's done whatever, but it's like this is like the most like this is very risky. Like this is like facing Dracula risky.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think proactive is the best word, because he is really, I mean, he's obviously put a lot of thought into this, which, you know, in the past, we haven't seen Jack Russell put a ton of thought into anything. Yeah. So I'm going to definitely give him credit for this, because he's obviously had to do a lot of research, figure all this out. And yeah, it's what he is trying to do is extremely risky.
I know we drink when Jack does something dumb, but I'm going to have a drink when he does something really immature.
Yeah, good for you, Jack.
What are you having? I'm having Maker's Mark.
I am having a hot toddy.
That's right, you're hot toddy season.
Yeah, I'm in hot toddy season. It's cold as fuck down here.
So we cut back to that occult bookstore, and the worker says, "Hey, may I help you?" And it's Isaiah Kerwin. And he holds out a picture of Russell, and he says, "I seek this man." He's like, "I'm not really supposed to." And he just shoots him this look, this extreme close-up on the eyes, says, "Think very carefully." And the guy's, you know, the close-up of that guy's eyes, and he's sweating, and he's just, his eyes are like upside down, like He's like, well, that is, his name's Russell. Got a place up in the hills. Wait a minute, what's the address? Landon Road. Teenage werewolf. He's like, yeah, that's it, Landon Road. I don't know the number. And we see Kerwin walking off just almost entirely in shadow saying, it is enough. And the guy's like, jeez. And then we cut back to that silver dagger that Kerwin is holding. I'm assuming that's Kerwin's dagger. We see it throughout here several times. I wasn't sure, there was times like, is Jack holding it? I'm like, no, there's no point for him to have a silver dagger, is there? Yeah,
but I think he's holding it in this because the first panel of the next page is him cutting his hand for blood.
You're right.
So
sorry, you're right.
Yeah, I know. Again, the Landon thing made me groan. That's 4 groans so far in this.
Well, you've heard my rant many times about Kane and it's on the corner of Kane and Finger. And it's up Adams in the Adams section. It's like, I hate that shit.
Well,
I know you appreciate Batman's history. I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
stop pulling me out of the story.
Yeah. But can we say that now though, Matt? Has Michael ruined that for us now? We can't complain about that anymore.
I love Michael.
I love Michael too. we are now references. So
We are not we're nobody.
We are references.
I got told today I'm nobody by someone. Yeah. So
okay. Okay, fine. All right. So next page, we see that now Jack is cutting his hand, letting the blood drip into a cup. He's written 666 in blood on the floor, but the narration undercut the creepiness a bit, because the first narration says, "Hey kids, you too can control the power of the dark forces, just like Uncle Jack. Just dial the number of the beast." I hate this shit. I hate it.
I thought that was kind of funny.
It's not. It's not funny, Matt. It's
like,
stupid.
Let's summon demons.
Yeah.
No, it does undercut it 100%. But I thought that was kind of him doing, like, that's what Peter Parker would do. Like, he's like, I was scared shitless, so I was just cracking stupid jokes to, like, stop from pissing myself.
I guess.
When you know what he's trying to do, it is kind of a scary prospect. But yes, I totally appreciate your groan.
Yeah.
I hear your groan and I acknowledge.
I appreciate that. So now we're back at the occult shop, where that sexy redhead that we saw earlier now approaches the shopkeeper saying, "Hi, handsome." And he's like, "Well, hello." And then she says, "Goodbye," as she like grows claws and tears his throat out. And I did like that third panel that's all just in shadow of him just getting eviscerated.
Her silhouette's horrifying.
Her silhouette is truly terrifying. Like, I thought it's very effective and scary. And she grabs the bag of fur, smells it, and makes a phone call saying he's here, and so is the Silver Man. And then we go back to Jack and his ritual. We see him start to chant. And most of it, there's some real words, some nonsense words, and Vermis is part of the cerebellum that controls posture. Wotan is the old German name of Odin. There's some real stuff in there, but there's also some kind of nonsense bullshit in there.
But I did not know that thing about the brain you were talking about, but is it Vermis Mortis? Is that the name?
I think Vermis. I'm not sure if Mortis is part of that, but maybe. I don't know.
There is a non-existent book that is in the Lovecraft canon of things that people are seeking, along with the Necronomicon. And one of them is like De Vermis. I can't remember the full name, but it's a Latin thing that has Vermis.
Oh, maybe that's it. Yeah.
And I did recognize Odin's old name or whatever.
Yeah, it's like in Wagner's Ring, I think.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. But so Jack is chanting, and shit is happening from the bowl where his blood is, and he says, "I needed some solid advice, so I did what any normal guy would do." And that last panel. So what is happening in that last panel? Is he pouring?
I thought he was pouring his blood into.
So he's pouring his blood into that little cauldron or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And it all goes green.
Yeah. And so he does what do you say? I did what any guy would do. And the next page, we see what that is. I called my dad. Long distance. How he says, now all I have to do is think of something to say. So we get this is all green with a little bit of yellow. And it's his dad's spirit shade form coming up out of the smoke of his blood and this burning thing. And he says, "Hi, Dad. Long time no see." And then, he's like that very through a veil of tears, whatever the type of thing. It's like, "Jack, son." And he's like, "Dad, I need your help bad." And he says, "I know, the aura of death surrounds you." And there's this cool panel, the next one, where he says, "If you cannot end the war between your divided selves, you will soon die." And this has Jack in purple and green in lotus position. And in the background is like the beast's brow and like fur. And then the bottom right is a skull. I would have killed for a poster of that in college, like a blacklight poster.
Super cool.
So he's like, "That's exactly why I need you. You've read the Darkhold. How do I end the curse?" And we've all been waiting to hear this. And the answer is not what you want to hear. You can't. He's like, "No, you're wrong. There's got to be a way. There has to be." And his dad just says, "Jack." So, yeah, I love again, this plan. I love that he was doing this. I love that this is like the Odyssey, like Odysseus calling up the shades of his friends from the Trojan War and like asking them, like talking to Agamemnon from Hades, all that. I love that shit, man. Like I think that's Circe that helped him do that, or I can't remember which witch that was, but I'm a sucker for this stuff. Calling on the shades and seeking aid from the afterlife. I love it.
That's great. No, it's super cool. And I do love that this was Jack's master plan. But yeah, he does not get the answer that he wants. So on the next page, so Gregory has a lot to say, and we do kind of have to go through it because it is important. So I'm just going to read what his dad has to say. He says, "You cannot cure yourself of this werewolf because it is an irrevocable part of your being. It is the beast within all men. In your case, it has been given its freedom. Once freed, it will die rather than be caged again. And if it dies, you die. It was not always this way with our kind. Long ago, during the time of the great ice, the elder gods gave certain men a gift, the power to take the form of wolves and become creatures with the best qualities of both. However, as the millennia passed, this knowledge was lost, and the men fell out of harmony with their primal selves. What had been a gift became then a curse, passed on through blood, a wild power spread indiscriminately by fang and claw among the innocent." He goes on to say, "When I discovered that power lay dormant in our family line, I invoked it, thinking I could control it. I was wrong, but you can succeed where I failed. The original power is still there. You must seek communion with your beast, accept each other, find the balance that was lost, and then, only then can you find peace." So this is a big change. This is as radical of a change as you can get in the story of Jack Russell, and lycanthropy and werewolves and everything. So this is a big retcon. What do you think of this?
I like a lot of this. I love like the him saying like, in ancient times, this was a gift from the gods to be able to do this. Like that reminded me of Wolfen a lot. Like, yeah, we were completely, we were in tune with our wolf spirit selves and whatever, like, and we kind of lost that and it got mutated or corrupted or whatever through time and became this thing. But this thing where lycanthropy is spread by bites and scratches, that is, like you said, entirely new. I don't know if they ever explicitly went on the way to say that's not how it works in the MC or MU, but it definitely never happened. Buck didn't become a werewolf. Well,
I mean, but that obviously happens in other media, like right, for sure, but not in Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Jack has clawed many, many people, and that he did not create, he didn't leave in his wake tons of werewolves. I think you're right. I had the same thought where I'm like, oh, I like a lot of this, but there's something, he didn't stick the landing in this retcon for me. I don't think that it totally works. There are parts of it and there are pieces that I really like. I like, the elder gods and all this stuff. And like you said, it's very reminiscent of the mythos in the film Wolfen. And which I also liked. But yeah, there was just something about it, about having to commune with your beast and accept each other. I don't know. There was something, I just don't think he stuck the landing very well.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how well it's done. If the core of the monologue is to say your bites and scratches spread this curse, I don't like it because that hasn't been the case for 20 years of this character.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that's what you take by him saying a wild power spread indiscriminately by fang and claw among the innocent. It can mean nothing else, correct? That's
all. You can't read it any other way.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to be doubly sure, because this is I mean, honestly, this is the biggest change to Werewolf by Night mythos that we've seen.
Yeah. And yeah, that find the balance bit. I don't know. Like, didn't we do that with the Three Who Are All? Wasn't that like?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I remember that.
Yeah. So, So what his dad says as he's leaving, he says, "I pray you succeed, my son. One final warning. Beware the grandchildren." And he's kind of fading away. And Jack's like, "What? Wait, please." And yeah, he kind of leaps down and all it says, "And all I got from my effort was a handful of dust." So Gregory's gone, and grandchildren. So there you go. They're another big change.
So, yeah, I like that the color scheme in this whole page and that last page as his father's finally, pieced out. The color comes back to normal.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
it's a neat touch. Yeah,
like I say, I have very few real criticisms of the art. Yeah. It's just story and writing. I think there are strengths in the story, but I think a lot of it is weak and not great.
So on the next page, not only does he have a handful of dust, he has an Excedrin-sized headache and one heck of a mess to clean up. This is typical Jack. Like,
yep.
When the lights come up and the candles go out and he's looking at the floor,
yeah,
he's like cut a pentagram and doing. There's blood everywhere, scorch marks.
This is when the Colden House landlord shows up.
Yeah. Remember, we're showing your apartment today, Jack. I'm having a sip just for that, for the pentagram on the condo floor.
That's good.
So he's saying, well, so much for my brilliant scheme, and it was a nice trick. And then we get this really nice panel of him looking kind of despondent and kind of a noirish lighting. And he says, "Too bad it only works once." I love shit like that, right? Where you can only work one spell and like all that kind of, when there's an economy to magic to where it's not just.
Well, there has to be an economy to magic or it means nothing.
It has to aid you. It has to something, right? You have to give blood, whatever. We talked about that with that Doctor Strange that was coming out in the teens that I liked so much because he had to give something of himself for each spell to work.
It's a great run.
Yeah. Who wrote? Was that Aaron?
That was Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. So at that moment, his door's kicked in. What the? And it is the guy we've been seeing, the bald guy. He looks like Captain Crunch. And he comes in and he says, "It is I, Isaiah Kerwin, the Lord Silver Dagger, your executioner." And he's got a black bodysuit on. He's in great shape for a sexy senior. He's got a silver giant C-bund and like Captain America boots, but just the top part is silver. He's got silver all over the ship. We're going to see this later, but this continues next issue. I like this guy, man. I kept thinking like this is what the Hangman should have been. Like he's a religious zealot. He's not a cultural. He's not an incel. You know what I mean? Like there's room for both of these freaks.
There's, but that was so like ridiculously charming about the Hangman because you're just like, oh, you're just a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah,
like you're just a fucking moron. But Kerwin. I don't know. Religious zealotry is terrifying and, the most destructive force on earth. So I think that makes Silver Dagger quite scary.
So you just lost our evangelical listeners.
Sorry, guys.
I totally agree. I think that God is not great and religion is the worst, most destructive force. I'm not a fan. So I love it. This guy's scary to me in that way.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying this is that he's an effective villain for me because I'm just like, oh shit, no, that's the worst. Like, yeah.
So I looked him up the first page he showed up, and he's been around for a while, but I forgot where he first is. He Doctor Strange or who did he first?
He's Doctor Strange. I thought he showed up in like the Englehart Brunner run.
Okay, so that's like the late 70s, right? Like
it's
around
mid 70s. I thought. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like this character a lot so far. Okay, so that is part 2 of the 3 we're covering tonight.
So now we're on issue 56, which is Children of the Beast, Chapter 3, Trail of Blood. Now, this page is, we open with 4 vertical panels of the werewolf kind of pushing closer to the reader, looking very distressed and bleeding. And that final panel is just him crying out, and we see just almost right down his throat. I'll read a little bit of the opening narration. It's not as good. It says, second night, the thick, intoxicating scent of blood hung over the forest. It inflamed the werewolf's senses, driving him to run, to tear, to snatch out with his jaws. The fact that the blood was his own only made the situation more maddening. As he ran, punctured organs and shattered bones grated against each other. And so it's I like this page. I think it's cool. I like the layout. I like that the werewolf is coming towards us. This is definitely one of those where, Fry and Joyce are definitely trying their best to do Sienkiewicz and Sienkiewicz's werewolf design. Mm-hmm. This is a world without love. And I like it. I like it. It's great. But,
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'll have to call Uncle Peter Asher.
Yeah. I'll call Uncle Peter Asher. Tell him that he's great. Peter and Gordon are great. They're just not Lennon and McCartney. They just aren't. Even when they sing Lennon and McCartney songs.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was really cool too. And it has an effect we've talked about for the entire run of the show where one vista is divided into 4 panels, and each part of that panel represents time. So the subject is moving through these panels towards us. Space remains the same, but time moves in each between the gutters. I love that effect.
It's really cool.
And so this is a severely wounded werewolf charging towards us. Like you said, organs ruptured, bones shattered. You left off the most 1990
purpose.
part, slam dancing together in a symphony of pain.
Oh, God.
It's a black flag.
So cheesy.
So the next page, this is a pretty typical layout as well. It says massive blood loss, sucking chest wounds, incipient peritonitis. I mean, this guy is going to hell, and he's like ragged breathing, like not death rattle, but like, and he's just soaked in his own blood. He's going into shock. The list of things wrong with him went on for miles in every direction. He kind of throws his head back and is just wincing in pain, falls down the ground, and he says, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. First, got to tell you about, and then we flash back to how we got here. So we started in media res. Now we're jumping back to how he got so wounded. And we see where we left off last chapter, this really cool panel. It's a close-up looking up at the face of Isaiah Kerwin with a silver dagger in the foreground and lights glinting off of it and lighting up from underneath his face as he says, prepare to die, sinner. And it says silver dagger. Got to tell you about silver dagger.
Oh, yeah. No, I really love those last 2 panels. The art is not strong on this page, except for those last 2 panels. The art's pretty weak in those that upper 6 panels. It looks. I
like the first 2 though.
The first 2 are okay, but I guess the middle 3 are the ones I'm just like, ooh, that's a lot worse than the rest of the issue.
Yeah.
But yes, okay. And then we go all the way back to Jack's apartment, and we're back at Jack's with Isaiah confronting him, saying, shut up, you've been judged. The sentence is death. Beg not for your miserable life, beg instead for mercy on your soul. And but as he's saying all this, Jack is looking past him and realizes that the moon has risen, and we get a kind of cool transformation. I think it's really fucking cool.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's a great transformation. So in the background, the full panel is the werewolf in pink. You just kind of see its eyes and its hair, and then in the foreground is almost it's so cool. It starts as Jack kind of way in the background holding his head, and he's slowly turning, and then once you finally get to the main foreground, he's just in full werewolf mode. And super fucking cool panel.
And that the final result of the end of his transformation, that figure, I mean, I know that they're referencing Sienkiewicz here, but they took it to their own place here. I haven't seen anybody draw him quite like that. I love that all the light's coming from behind, so he has a rim, like a corona of highlights on his fur, but the rest is black, and his face is black in the center. I mean, Liefeld will come and ruin that in about 1 or 2 years, but that effect here is very effective.
No, it's very cool. No, you're right. They really, I think that's the design on this transformation is the artist making it their own, taking from Sienkiewicz and yeah, it's Sienkiewicz's werewolf, but more hairy, more furry in a different way that kind of is a good medium almost, I think.
Yeah. And there is a narration that says he didn't see that I'd lost track of time when Jack forgets when the full moon's coming up.
Here we go. Drink to that.
I'm home with my parents, so I can drink all the liquor I want.
Yes, you can.
I'm a huge fan of that page. The next page has a really fucking cool effect. This is like the first time we get werewolf vision, essentially. This is how I read this anyway. Is that how you read this first panel? This is the way the werewolf sees Silver Dagger. So there's a pink fuchsia background, and then he sees the figure all in black next to him, and all the things that are silver on his costume, his dagger, his chest piece, his cummerbund, and his whatever, are all just dazzlingly bright, blindingly bright splashes of light to where the beast instinctually knows that is a material that is damaging to him. So it is bright and glaring and painful even to its eyes.
It's cool. It's a really cool effect.
So yes, as the werewolf had his own perspective on the situation, the maniac's outfit was dripping with silver, cold white death to the werewolf. And this strange, I mean, it almost looks like a Kirby like cosmic thing. Like it's so cool. And he says, "Lo, the beast is revealed." And then Jack does a perfect Jack. Grabbing the whiskey right now. He jumps out the window.
Big glass.
Big glass. He says he may have been a creature of unreasoning animal instinct, but he wasn't stupid. So he jumps out, lands on the ground, and starts running like hell away from this guy. And this spry Captain Crunch guy jumps out the window like Moon Knight. He looks like fucking Moon Knight in that panel. Alighting gently to the ground with his cape all spread out. And From the Tribulations Are Now by Isaiah Kerwin. And there's a bunch of that. I read it the first time and I kind of just delighted over it the second time. Like it's just all Bible-y ranting about purity and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So he's stalking the beast. There's some nice panels in the bottom row of like him like getting the beast trail and the moon's behind him. And there's some gnarled trees. It's all purples and blues and pinks. And he says, "I would drive my purifying blade through its rotting heart and thus end its plague of evil. I could not fail, for after all, was I not the Lord's loyal servant? Did I not do his work?" As he runs off on the trail of the beast.
Yeah. Well, on the next page, Jack is running away and he's thinking, things have gotten really weird. Despite everything, I began to feel sorry for this poor, fierce, wild, feral child within me. All the werewolf wanted was a full moon and a patch of forest to run in. I'm going to drink to that.
I didn't catch that.
Yep.
This is a drinky chapter.
It is a drinky chapter. He just didn't understand why this lunatic wanted to kill him. I understood all right. Kerwin wanted me dead because I didn't fit his particular definition of normal. That's right. And he called me the monster. What is that drives someone like that? Maybe my father was right that werewolves aren't the only men with vicious inner demons to contend with. So I did like this. I mean, Jack's really, I liked this inner monologue of his. I thought that was super cool, calling Kerwin out on his bullshit. But his monologue ends with, on the other hand, Kerwin did have the good sense to stay downwind of the werewolf. And then he jumps on Jack's back and stabs him, like just right in the back. But then Jack whirls around and tears at Kerwin's face. Like that's a brutal panel.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, though. I really love it.
Yeah, I love that contact. And I also love that right after you left off with that, he's talking about the rationalizations that make us do what we do. And he says glib excuses like religion and politics.
Damn right.
Pithy observation.
Yeah. No, it was really cool.
And the last two panels are savage as fuck. Like it looks like he has Silver Dagger's fingers in his mouth and he's just chomping down on his hand while slashing at his grabbing onto his jaw.
It looks like he's going to tear his jaw off.
Yeah.
Like,
and it looks like, I mean, his eyes look like it's not even rage. Like he's just a terrorizing machine at this point. So yeah, but Silver Dagger on the next page gets another stab in. So he's just kind of going like he's shivving him essentially with this Silver Dagger. Yeah. And this is where all the wounds happen that we saw in the beginning. So that's when the werewolf starts going, and Silver Dagger says, "Filth." And he stabs him again. He says, "Die, monster, die." And he's just stabbing him repeatedly. Schlack, schlack, schlack. And how does he get away? He rakes his face or his chest.
Slashes at him.
And screams out and then runs off. Between Kerwin's superior intelligence, or between Kerwin's superior intellect, his maniacal fury, and his silver knives, the dumb animal never had a prayer. And we see him just loping off with blood just spilling out behind him.
Yeah.
The only choice he had was to run or die.
Yeah, this is, again, just so brutal. I mean, who knows how many? I mean, Kerwin stabs him many times, as we saw at the beginning of this chapter, that, yeah, Jack is fucked up and he is bleeding out.
Yeah, fully.
So the next page, the narration switches to Kerwin's perspective here, which I thought was kind of different. And yeah, so Kerwin's looking as Jack is running away, and he says, "The beast was escaping. It couldn't be helped. I would finish our battle soon enough. I had vastly more important duties to attend to, such as the safety of my immortal soul. I had been wounded by the beast, and should I allow it, its taint would soon infect me and consume me as well." Then he says, "I had to protect my precious bodily fluids from the disease." So we got a Strangelove reference there. And, but yeah, I mean, this makes more sense now that we have, definitely established that now if a werewolf slashes at you, I guess you're going to become a werewolf. So yeah, he has to go through this purification rite almost where he says, yeah, it's weird. So he treats his slash wounds with kind of like some painful looking liquid and then burns it out as well. I couldn't really tell what he was doing. It's not very clear.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought that at first that was a vial of holy water he's taking out.
Yeah.
But then the flame flies up. So I thought, well, maybe he stoked it with some type of flammable combustant. And then he's heating the dagger. The silver in the fire and then cauterizing it.
I think so. It's not done very well to where you don't know what's going on. So yeah. It's doing the opposite of what it should do.
I mean, in that panel after the bottle, you can see he is holding the dagger into the flame, I guess.
Yes.
So I did see. Okay. Yeah, but it's still vague. Yeah,
it's very vague.
So yeah, we get to the last page here. There's a long, skinny panel that goes the entire left side of the page. It says the blood was everywhere, and we see the werewolf on all fours just crawling pathetically. By now, even the werewolf had figured it out. It was only a matter of time. This was it, the end of the road. And we see him crawling towards a road, past a little fence, and then he collapses on the tarmac, the life leaking out of him, and he looks incredibly pathetic, just with moonlight, silver, and light blue, and blood. And then it says something was coming, and he sees some lights and blurs, because when you are dying, your blood flow is decreasing. When you're bleeding out, so your vision goes soft and you go blind essentially before you die, usually. So something with a scent that was familiar somehow. And then we see these strange lupine forms coming towards him, a silhouette with, venom eyes. And it says something evil. And the beast just goes, eh? The werewolf looked up. And the last panel, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 very 1990 werewolves. One of them's got what are those called? The shoulder pads with the military. Captain Crunch has them, like the little frill epaulets. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
This is like Lost Boys times 1,000. Like hip cool. And we see that the one in the front is the redhead that we saw in the cult shop saying, "Hi, Dad. Long time no see." It's got an eye patch and a leather vest on with metal studs. One looks like Marco from Lost Boys. Yeah. And it says, the werewolf looked up and saw that the cavalry had arrived. So at his very last moments before dying. Can he die? He's a magic werewolf.
He's a magic werewolf. He can't die.
I don't want to niggle, with the person, but yeah. Anyway, we've got a. If you're the type of person that didn't like Venom, and then you really didn't like Carnage, and then you didn't like it when there were 7 symbiotes running around, we just jumped forward to all the 7 symbiotes, essentially, right?
Yep.
Shriek and all the, so Toxin. Yeah, so that's the end of that. You want to go first?
Yeah, final thoughts. I think it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The narration was pretty cheesy and kind of undercut parts where the art was really cool. But like you said, I did like the story. I liked Jack, conjuring up the shade of his father for advice. I thought that was super cool. I think the art for the most part was pretty good. Especially for the time period. And I like I like how many visual references there are to those 2 Moon Knight issues. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's all it is. It's like, and they have rightly ignored everything else that has happened after those Moon Knight issues. So they made the right call. Like, they're like, okay, what's our reference point? And it's Sienkiewicz. It's mentioned Sienkiewicz. And so that was absolutely the right creative call to make. So they did a great job. And so, yeah, it's cool. We got to see the ghost of Gregory, cool rituals, but yeah, the werewolf grandchildren, it's a little silly at the end. But overall, I did like this story more than I thought I would.
Yeah. I agree with you on the story part. Maybe I didn't have as much of an issue with it, but I totally see what you're saying. I think I would have liked it more if it was like, this guy, plotted it and then like Peter David wrote it or something, but for me, it was just a triumph to have like Jack going back to roots of like his father. And I'm not sure if that was, I think Grigori is his ancestor and the Baron is his dad.
That's true. Yes.
Because I do the same thing. It was just cool to have him go back to his roots of the Darkhold, of magic, of a family curse, like all the stuff that we had, that we loved, that was the esoteric occult stuff from his series that has been completely jettisoned for hanging out with Spider-Woman or whatever. It was so cool to go back to that. So I was so stoked to see him, carving a pentagram into his floor and like, summoning his father's spirit, like just stuff like that. I let a lot of the dodgier writing and voice kind of pass. Yeah, and I agree with you. The art, I'd say it was like 75% gold.
Yeah, I agree.
Some dodgy stuff here and there. As I'm saying this, I'm looking at the werewolves.
I know. Don't look at that last panel.
One has a bowler hat on, so
yep. Yeah,
that's happening right now. So for me, this was, I was expecting this to be like, because I looked at a little bit of the one that is Ghost Rider and Werewolf by Night together that comes about 2 years after this, called like something Brain Eaters, and it was like everything you don't want to see in a 90s comic. Like it just the art felt really loose and super hip, and the story just was like extreme and arbitrary at the same time. Yeah. Whereas this feels like it's actually telling a story. So I don't know. I'm down. Like I'm excited to see how this ends next week.
Yeah, me too. No, I'm really excited to go through it.
So, although we do have the elephant in the room is the retcon of the lycanthropy curse in the Marvel universe. In the 616.
That's a big one. That's a real big one.
That's tough for me.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind it if it wasn't a retcon, if it was a development and they said something because of your spirit being out of balance with the wolf self, or say, make something. You're a writer. Make something up. Don't just go, no, it's always been this way. It's just no one ever acknowledged that ever 20 years. Like, no, don't do that. That's not your job. Your job is to add things to the story, not change other people's stories.
Yeah, but that was something that I think was really, an interesting thing of that was lycanthropy in the 616. You know, it made it very unique compared to because honestly, I mean, if you look at werewolves outside of Marvel Comics, for the most part, it is that they're bites. You know, it's lycanthropy as a virus rather than lycanthropy as a curse. And you and I have gone on record a lot saying that we like lycanthropy as a curse. I feel like it's a richer story. I feel like it's a more interesting story. So yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to make predictions or anything like that, but I'm imagining Jack's going to be nursed back to health by these people, and then realize that they're completely out of control and amoral and immoral, and so he's going to have to hunt them down and take them out or something. I mean, he can't let these. And if his father referred to them as his grandchildren, so somehow they are his spiritual offspring, either through the curse or whatever. Like if he didn't turn them, then someone he turned them, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Like essentially his family is the bloodline that we were saying, like the Nicholas Remy. Like that's him now. Yeah. Like if someone wants to stop being a werewolf, they have to kill Jack Russell. He's the oldest living member of this bloodline.
Yeah, he is. No, I haven't read ahead. I've been saving it, and cool. So yeah, I'm anxious to see what's going to happen as well. And I'm very excited. We are going to have a guest join us next week, Jamie Wenger from Marvel by the Month. A man who is versed in 90s comics and can help us wade through that water.
Cool. Yeah, he's the one Marvel by the Month host I have not yet met. So excited to meet him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, in person. I mean, cool. I'm looking forward to talking with him, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the story ends. I am invested. As far as the bonus show goes, this week we're going to be talking about the 1956 science werewolf movie, The Werewolf. And I'm going to do another Kickstarter catch-up. This one's going to be 113 Tales of Terror, illustrated urban legends, and short shock stories. What about you, Jacob?
Well, I'm going to talk about a book that came out a number of years ago from Tomorrow's Publishing, one of my favorite publishing houses that just does historical magazines and books all about comics. And this one is a exhaustive history of swamp men in comics, going all the way back to the Heap, who was inspired by Theodore Sturgeon's It, and goes all the way. Yeah, it is exhaustive and amazing. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, if you thought that the Swamp Thing versus Man Thing was where this all started, you're way off.
Oh, yeah, way off. And there are several 23-page essays that are going to tell you how off you were.
I'm looking forward to that. We're not sure what's going on with Twitter, but we're on there. It's at Werewolf Podcast. We've been spreading out to Mastodon and Hive. So on Hive, we are at Bronze Monsters, and Mastodon.
I know
it's like a 140 character long link to find us. And that's if you're on that server. I don't understand Mastodon. I know it's like a running joke right now. This is going to be super dated in like 1 month, but I'm having a really hard time getting onto Mastodon. So I'm just frustrated. But anyway, we're switching over to Bronze Age Monsters is my point, because we have a handful of episodes left here. And we have a super finale coming up. I'm going to be posting our categories for the top 3s of the season and top 5s or something of the whole series. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for you to submit yours. We are going to be giving away some prizes. We will have some fun werewolfery stuff, some toys, and we'll have some signed Werewolf by Night posters signed by Michael Giacchino, the director of the Disney Plus special. So to get into that contest, you need to send us in your entries of your favorite things from the season and series. And we'll be giving those away on a live show that we stream on right now. It's planned for January 7th, which is a Saturday, probably 7 p.m. I'm looking forward to that. We're hoping people hop on live with us and chat along, and we'll be doing drawings throughout so people know that they won, and we'll ship you your prizes.
Yeah, so we'll get a little more specific with our top threes and what people can send in. Matt and I are also going to go through, and we're going to choose, since we've watched so many werewolf films for the main show and for the bonus show. Matt and I are going to go through our both of our top 5 werewolf films of all time,
excluding The Wolfman,
excluding The Wolfman,
Howling.
The Howling, and American Werewolf in London.
Yes. We're civilized. Yeah, and the way you can vote is you can send those things to us when those are ready. But we're going to be posting the categories, the ballots, I guess we'll call them, on our Patreon page, and anyone can vote. You do not have to be a Patreon supporter to vote. We will put a link in the shows. We have over a month to get here, so don't feel like this is a pressurized situation here. We're going to come up with these categories before the next episode. We will put them on Patreon, and they will be in the show notes and on our Twitter and on our Instagram and everything else. So you have plenty of time. You have several weeks to do this voting. I think I'm missing something. Oh, but if you do want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/werewolf-by-night-podcast and support us at any level you're comfortable supporting us at. So the bonus show we mentioned before, you get that by supporting us at the $2, $3, $5, or $10 level. $3 and above, you get the video version of the show. And you can get the audio version at $2. Everybody gets the audio version. Yeah. And we also give shout outs to the higher tiers. I think we should do that right now.
I think we should.
So we give shout outs to our $5 level members. That's what we call our pack members. And that is people like Ryan from Across the Bifrost,
Tim Tucker,
Brian from Marvel by the Month,
Blake, last name withheld,
Caleb,
Ben M,
Michelle from Moonlit Comics,
Rob Haferman,
Russ from Tomes of Evil,
Brad Elmore,
Tony Iupi,
Jared C,
Brink,
Bill from Long Island,
David D,
and MJ.
Thank you for supporting us, folks. And we have an extra special tier for our favoritist members. Those are the Star Gods, the barbarian space deities who support us at the highest possible level. And that's people like the great Michael Giacchino,
Josh Link,
Jackson T. Overstreet,
Mark Nivens,
and Eric Hadley. Thank you, guys. You make the show great. All right, so next week, look out for those ballots to be put up on Patreon. We will be including a link on all of our socials and in the show notes, just so you know. We also have a voicemail line. That's 971-220-5865, 971-220-JUNK. And you can call in and leave us a message. We got a nice one from Michael Giacchino last week, actually. That was fun. You can let us know. I was thinking about putting a ballot, people doing voicemail ballots, but I don't know if that's too much. But let us know what you think about the season, what you'd like to hear us talk about on the finale. I mean, the finale is going to be pulling out all the stops. We're going to have Buck Cowan's going to be on there. He's going to drop in for a visit, and he's going to have a couple of rusty nails. It's going to be a great time.
Yes, it will.
Champion the drinker. Yeah. All right, Jacob. I think that we've done it.
Yeah, we have. That was a good episode. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Me too. All right. Till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at ya.